So what Hilary has explained is that there are different levels for each region to liaise with the RDA. And today we have contributions of the partner regions from Europe and also from the committed regions from Europe, which have signed an MOU with the RDA. We also have asked the regions to say a word about their activities. So Hilary introduced that by saying that there can be many different activities organized by the regions. And one of the objectives of this meeting is really to see if the community has wishes about the activities you would like to see organized in your country, in your region. So, yes, thank you for the link to the regional processes document. You will find all the details in that about the different levels of liaison between a region and the RDA. So I don't see questions to Hilary. So I have to thank you very much for your participation early morning. And we know what it is. Andrew said that this is what happened with regional collaboration. It's the things which can happen when one is traveling. Challenges of regional infrastructure, Andrew says. So I think it's a good characterization of the kind of issues we have here. And it can happen to any of us. Thank you very much, Hilary. And we wish you a good day. For the colleagues who don't know, Hilary is doing a tour of countries from Latin America and the Caribbean. And so she is currently in Brazil. And it's not the good time of the day for Brazil at this time of the day in Europe and in Asia and Africa. So thank you, Hilary. And we will go to Europe. I think that we can put the video, at least Alex already has hers. And we thought it was an occasion for RDA Europe to present what they plan to do so that the representatives of European countries and the community hears about it. And it's also interesting for colleagues from other continents because it can give ideas to regional organization of RDA at the continental level in general. Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Françoise, and welcome everyone to this virtual plenary. So I will now share my screen.
The slides are online in the meeting agenda.
And I will go to slideshow. Can you see my slides okay?
Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. So hi everyone, I'm Alex Delipalta. I'm the Director of Operations in the European RDA office. And today I will speak to you about the RDA Europe journey, how we got to where we are now and what we want to do next. So I will start with a trip down memory lane. Up until 2021, RDA Europe was organized and sort of run through European Commission funded projects that worked to build the European community, to build visibility and the reputation of RDA in the European landscape and with the European stakeholders. The most recent European Commission funded project, RDA Europe 4, did a lot of work. Worth mentioning are the national nodes that were created, the communities, the European communities that were built, some of which are still active today. And let's put a pin on this for a second, and we'll come back to that. Still down memory lane, and 2021, the RDA Europe office is founded as a non-profit organization under Belgian law in AISBL, with the overall goal to support the European RDA activities and to take part in the RDA global development. In 2022, the European team was working on a number of European Commission funded projects that support the RDA global strategy and community, EOSC Future, World Fair, and Fair Impact. In 2023, RDA Tiger was launched, and the European Office publishes the first strategy, which can be summarized and to support the European data community to work together to solve data challenges and to connect to the global side. And now in 2024, we have 8 members of staff who are working across European Commission funded projects that still support the mission and vision of the RDA in Europe through various activities, including service provision for the global community. So some highlights on how we do this, how we align with the global strategy. So EOSC Future built a community of domain ambassadors through the RDA and EOSC Future domain ambassadors. Over 11 outputs have been leveraged. Many of the awardees have remained engaged and involved in RDA. And through the Open Calls program, a direct link with almost 100 individuals from over 40 organizations across 22 countries was established. Currently, we are wrapping up World Fair, which in addition to the IGAD community of practice, which is a central part in one of the 11 case studies, we are building bridges with the remaining 10 disciplinary and cross-disciplinary case studies on fair data, many of who are now active in RDA and use it as a tool and a platform for further to further their work and for further collaboration. So now in 2024, who are we? We have 8 members of staff, many of who are our RDA Tigers, and you will see them in various group sessions supporting the RDA working groups and facilitating. And we are also welcoming one more member of staff in June, and I should not forget our Professor Pounce, our pet tiger. So the mission and vision of RDA Europe, the European Office, is to inspire, cultivate and support the European communities, organizations and individuals to develop and implement globally agreeable solutions to enable open sharing and reuse of data through the RDA. So direct alignment with the global strategy. As I mentioned, in 2023, we published our first strategy, which is based around 3 goals and 4 priorities. So our goals are to foster and strengthen this connection to the RDA community, to act, maintain, and foster in a multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder, and multilingual way, and to build our position and our reputation of RDA Europe in particular, but also of RDA as a whole. So you can see our priorities here on the screen, and we support the European data community to work together, help the community to develop and implement solutions for their data challenges, advocate and enable the global and European level solutions to solve research and data related issues, and of course to build our organizational sustainability and maturity as a new organization. The first way in which we realize this strategy is of course the RDA Tiger, which I hope you have heard of. And we do this by a set of services, facilitation, communications, output, and landscape and engagement. I will not go into detail because there will be a dedicated session describing those services. So at the moment, we are supporting 17 working groups. Our aim is to lower the barrier for the creation of new working groups and engagement with existing working groups. And we work with groups that support the RDA global and the European level strategic objectives. So Tiger is funded by the European Commission, and you can see here some of our other objectives that make outputs and support outputs that are impactful and used widely by the community, ensure that groups have the right participants, the right representation globally and from a cross-disciplinary perspective. So 20th of May, 2 p.m. UTC, there will be a dedicated Tiger Tigre session, which will describe these services in more detail. So a few minutes ago, we put a pin on the nodes in the European communities that RDA Europe 4 helped to build. And we will now call them legacy nodes because, as Hilary mentioned, we're talking about regions. And I will take that pen away, and I will now talk to you about what is next for us to help us realize the strategy that I presented here. So the RDA Europe Support Framework formalization. So facilitating connection to the global RDA community, supporting the creation of national RDA communities, highlighting European successes and elevating them, and enabling European, inter-European lesson sharing. And our objectives are to define the position of the European Office. So, as I mentioned, we were created as a Belgian AISBL in 2021. We do a lot of work with European Commission funded projects, but it is perhaps not as clear to the community where the European Office sits in relation to the rest of the regions and to the global organization. So define this position for us, define the types of support that we can offer to the wider European community, define the actions that we will take as a team to identify the needs of the community and address them, and also set a timeline with associated actions to formalize this framework. First, so these are the types of support that we have planned, and this is where we want your input and your feedback, and you can add your feedback on the shared document, or you can contact us directly. So the first type of support is communications and dissemination. So we would provide in-kind support to help spread the word about the European success stories and challenges. Outreach and engagement, so highlight regional and European level success stories and challenges via our networks, so our social media, our European Commission and EOSC networks. Through the projects that we work on, we can offer suggestions for speakers, we can create a connection with the global office, and not just for speakers, but also for attendees, for attendance. Local RDA community building, so we can provide support, again in kind. We're talking about our staff spending time with the community, with you, and provide support in building and animating the local communities, the country-specific communities by attending events, introducing and translating RDA. And finally, we would like to help the interested regions, including those legacy nodes, to coordinate with the regional stakeholders that advocate for their needs and to help them to facilitate this transition to engaged and committed or partner regions. Regional challenges to global solutions. So through leveraging our RDA Tiger services and resources, we can offer landscape facilitation, communication and output support, and our staff expertise to facilitate the participation in the relevant working groups, or creation of new working groups that address those local challenges and also elevate them and raise them to this global cross-disciplinary and adoptable set of solutions that the RDA offers. To highlight the existence of this network of experts and to promote the potential contributions to fair policy development on the national, regional, and global levels. And the other way around, so regional solutions to global challenges. We can highlight and broker fair enabling and RDM supporting solutions from Europe to the global community, and also broker between the different European national communities. Our actions and timelines, so we plan to map the regions or countries and their needs by talking to you, by gathering your feedback, and to see how we can support you in progressing to this next stage of engaging with RDA. We would like to refine the types of support that I presented. Does this make sense to you? Have we missed something? What else can we do? This is where we want your input. We are going to put all this together and draft an action plan to share it with you, to show you how we're going to realize our strategy. We are discussing whether it would be useful to set up a separate task force to lead this activity, to collect the feedback in an organized manner, in addition to a one-to-one outreach with you and your regional representatives. And by August, we would like to have completed this set of activities, and by September 2022, we would like to have this formalized. And finally, please add your feedback. We would really like to hear what you think. And you can add it onto the notes document, or you can contact me directly, or anyone from the RDA Europe team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. It's always complicated to present something which is a strategy in the making, if I can call it that way. So thank you very much for having presented where you are with the definition of a strategy. And I really encourage the people, the participants to write their thoughts in the collaborative note. And do you have questions to Alex? I don't see questions in the chat. So I think one of the thing which is complicated is that, as you know, and we all know, each region, each country is different, and we all do different things. It's exactly what Hilary was saying also. And so you have to try to see how to put all these different things together. And so this requires lots of thought, because not all the regions are at the same level in their relationship with the RDA, and they don't do the same things at the local level. So we have to find how to learn from each other also. I don't see questions for Alex, so I think we will jump. The idea was to have two very short talks. Thank you very much again, Alex. To have three very short talks from regions which are partners from the RDA, which means that these are regions which support the RDA financially, which are France, the Netherlands, and UK. And so I think I have to begin with a short presentation of what we do in France. Here it is, which I prepared with Laurent Felcouri, with whom I work to make RDA France happen. So the national context, you heard that we had this initial setting of national nodes in Europe from RDA Europe 4.0, and France was one of the initial national nodes. Well, France had been involved in the previous projects funded by the European Commission in support to the RDA. Then we had the National Plan for Open Science in the first version in 2018 and the second one in 2021. And the first National Plan for Open Science had among its actions to support the Research Data Alliance and found the French chapter of the organization, which is RDA France. So we got support to RDA France and to RDA from the National Fund for Open Science since 2019, and we are hosted by the TNRS, which was the host during the ILTI-funded period. So our priorities are to support the national open science goals and priorities. They support us and we support them, and also to support RDA Global. And from the starting, from when we began, we were willing to encourage more people and organizations to join RDA and participate in its activities, to acculturate the French community to the data aspects of open science. And we have also the idea that we need people from different profiles to make open science happen. And we have to encourage these people with different profiles to work together. And this is exactly what happens in the RDA also. And we had from the beginning support to certification of data repositories, because we know that knowing the criteria for certification helps to improve data management in the repository. So I will not go through the long list of activities. You can find the slides from the notes. But Just to say that we have working groups on different topics, one on certification of data repositories, and another one which was a request by the community to have a national discussion of something which happens also in the RDA Global, which is to build a collection of disciplinary data management plans which can be used as examples. So we also support the community to participate in the plenaries, and we also have activities behind the scene during the plenaries so that people can communicate together. And we translate the RDA in a nutshell in French to help people to use it. So why we have a formal partnership with the RDA? Because it's part of a national open science strategy to build this partnership. So we do it. And we really think it's beneficial both to RDA and to France, and to RDA France, but also to our country. Because this means we participate in RDA governance bodies, so we have a view and a say in what happens in RDA, and RDA France is RDA voice at the national level. And we try to be as a powerful voice of the RDA as possible at the national level. What we would like to be organized at the European level, invitation to provide feedback on the definition of priorities and activities. It's exactly like what Alex just did. We would like to try to find a way to identify topics of interest which are relevant to the European context, but this has to be done in a complementary way to what can be done at the regional assembly level in RDA Global. And we think that small financial or manpower support on priority activities topics could be useful. And there are useful links, and you can join. If you want to receive our messages in French, you can join the mailing list and the address to contact us. And it's the poster we presented at the last plenary explaining what we do with respect to the National Open Science Plan. So thank you. And I guess the floor now is Margaret for the Netherlands. So you can show your slides.
It also helps if I unmute myself.
It works. We hear you.
You, that's good. And now I'm yeah, here I am. Good morning. I'm going to talk about the Dutch region for RDA. And actually, we are a very young region because only at the end of last month, so say May, the decisions have been made that LCRDM, and I will explain shortly what that implies, will be the Dutch region. There used to be a node, but LCRDM was there before the node. I have seen pathways, I've seen other bridges, but we also say we are a bridge, or we try to bridge policies, for example, on the GDPR or on data governance, to what it implies for the daily work of those who support researchers. And I hope this is not the bridge which was torn apart by the boats, but it is a bridge. Background. LCRDM stands for the National Coordination Point of Research Data Management. And if you see commonalities or differences, RDA is global. And LCRDM has a local Dutch focus, and we have approximately 500 members since 2015. And of those 500, about 80% are a member of RDA. So you could also say, why didn't we be the Dutch region before, if already the people who are attached to RDA and are attached to LCRDM overlap. For those, of course, it doesn't show really the 80%, but then if I would have closed the rings, you couldn't have read the names. And of about or more than 500 members of RDA are actually working in the Netherlands, and 25% has been co-chairs or chairs of working groups. There are a lot of similarities. I think we have heard most of it in the former presentations. I think what is nice to look at is also the way of working. And we want to be in the Netherlands a neutral platform where everybody can help each other, are a support collective to solve issues, to bridge policies to daily working. And then why now? Because why not 2015? And that's thanks to NWO, which is the Dutch Research Council. And they're one of the most important funding bodies for science in the Netherlands. And they signed a memorandum of understanding with the RDA in January. It says the 1st, I think it might have been the 8th, but January. And they did this because they recognize actually the moral responsibility the Dutch community should have towards RDA, as so many of the Dutch working people are active in the RDA. And I think it's a beautiful momentum and opportunity for these partnerships. These are the benefits and opportunities we see. Also, I think it overlaps with Francois said what the benefits are for RDA friends. And I think indeed, let's have local action with a global connection. So use the bridge also for that purpose. Just to show you a little bit of what our working groups have been doing, this is the most recent report on data sovereignty, who is in control. And we looked at it from all the different perspectives, and then it shows where it's, in Dutch, waar het schuurt, where all these realities meet each other and create friction, and then things one can do to solve it. And another activity has been 23 things, actually with funding through RDA, and we maintain it with editorial board, and it's like recommended by your colleagues. It's aimed at people new in the field, whether they are a research software engineer or a data steward or a researcher. And it's like the nice things to read or resources one can refer to a bit to, as we say in Dutch, to make you see the trees in the forest. So this is recommended by your colleagues. And every 3 months we look at it and we say, okay, we have to add this new resource. This one is now obsolete or too old. So that it says 23 things. I think in reality, we have 183 things, but it's more of a thing. Well, thanks. These are our, the link to the website, the link to 23 things, and any question, you can send it to me through this info mail address. I did add a few more slides, but time-wise, this is our roadmap. So the slides are findable in the notes. So we have our roadmap and we have our process of deciding, but it's there for you to read at your leisure. Thanks. François, you're muted.
Sorry, Hilary comments on your the fact you discussed the moral responsibility. And she said it's so true for many regions, thanks to NWO for recognizing this too. So
Absolutely. Without them, we wouldn't be here now. Yeah.
it's true. And it's true that there are many RDA people, people from the Netherlands who played a very important role in many of the RDA groups from the beginning. And so this has been important for the RDA too. So last but not least, Rachel, are you with us? Yes, you are.
I think I am. So let me just hope this is working. Is that working okay, slide-wise?
You're not
Yeah.
in viewer mode, Rachel. In presenter
No,
mode.
I'm not. That always seems to happen, and now I can't find. I had it earlier, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
Why does it have to go? I can't find it. I've got.
Now it's presenter's view.
Yeah, I think. The
Now it should be better, but we don't see it for the moment.
no.
Voila, you got it.
That's
Yes,
it.
hooray. Okay, good morning, everyone. And yeah, nice to be here and nice to be back at an RDA plenary. So just briefly to say, what is UK Research and Innovation? So we are the largest public funder within the UK for research. So that's approximately, and it wanes and goes up and down, but it's around about 9 billion investment into research and innovation annually, and it covers all of the different disciplinary areas. So I should say that this short presentation is, whilst I'm presenting it, there's a group of us within the UK working collaboratively to establish our regional endeavour. Juan Bikaregui from the STFC, Paul Richards, who is in my team at UKRI on open research, Elizabeth Newbold, also from STFC, and Christopher Brown from JISC. So in terms of a bit of context, as I'm sure we've heard from other speakers today and participants in the organisation, within the UK, our view has always been that research data management, curation and sharing is extremely important to achieve good research, but also to be able to get the value from that research. And so we have a long established policy environment and also investments to support the open research agenda. So with research data being, you know, that old adage now of as open as possible and as closed as necessary. The support for this area within the research context within the UK is all the way from government level through research funders, but also the broader research community. And perhaps that's quite well encapsulated, although it's maybe slightly out of date now, in our Concordat on open research data, which establishes the commitments across those different parties and stakeholders in order to achieve research data sharing. We're now moving on to a next stage to update our policies, and I think there's continual drive that we see in terms of concern around ensuring research integrity and reproducibility. So we've had quite a few select committees, and our Science, Innovation and Technology Committee has held hearings and inquiries on that topic. And then, of course, the pandemic as well has given us lots of lessons in terms of the importance of data curation, sharing, and also what can we learn from that in terms of being able to improve that environment going forward. But all of this work is obviously, global is important, as the pandemic has shown. And so working through multilateral forums such as G7, G20, working on helping to shape things like the OECD recommendations, but then also how to adopt them. And recently, to try and strengthen the importance of work between our activities locally and globally, we've established a International Research Data Initiatives Forum, which is about really enhancing our work with organisations such as the Research Data Alliance and CoData and others. So a little bit of history in terms of the engagement in the Research Data Alliance to date. If you look at the numbers on the RDA site, then there's strong participation from the UK. It says currently, I think, 1,159 members. So it does seem to be growing as well, because we have numbers over the years and still growing. And as with the colleagues from the Netherlands and France, I think also there's been quite strong participation in working groups. From the foundations of the Research Data Alliance, there was always some engagement at governance level, primarily from STFC and JISC, and also the Digital Curation Centre. So, we've always seen this as important. And one reflection of that was early on, JISC also funded the RDA via a grant to help support the development and sustainability of the Research Data Alliance. And as part of that, it was prior to having a national node. JISC worked with colleagues such as STFC and DCC to host workshops within the UK, and that was really all about trying to promote the Research Data Alliance outputs and to promote engagement, but also to kind of encourage an understanding of those outputs within a local context, so that could feed back into the Research Data Alliance. We also did have a node from 2018 to 2020, and that was facilitated by the STFC, so the Science and Technologies Facilities Council, and JISC, and that was really about growing participation and membership, and also looking at this broader adoption of recommendations, but also influencing recommendations. And then a collaboration again through UKRI, STFC, JISC, and the DCC hosted the plenary, which was a big debate. Was it going to be virtual? Was it going to be hybrid? Was it going to be physical? And it was hybrid in the end, but mainly virtual because of the pandemic in April 2021. So where we are now is locally, there has been, I think, enhanced investments in a coordinated way for digital research infrastructure within the UK under what we call our DRI programme, so our Digital Research Infrastructure Programme. And there's a set of investments there around data infrastructure, but also support of skills, careers, pathways, and talent, and the people infrastructure for research data. In terms of our policy context, we can see across a whole range of different stakeholders that there is adoption, but there is more progress to be made in terms of support of processes, policies, resource, and also strategy. And so there are improvements to be made. And so we have a commitment to better incentivise, enhance and support research data so that we can move to that sharing and curation as a more BAU mode. And the Research Data Alliance is indeed important in that. So we have recently, we are younger than the Netherlands agreement with the RDA in terms of building a regional membership or renewing one. And we have just recently entered into an MOU and agreed funding for a initial two-year period through the Digital Research Infrastructure Programme. As I've shown, the primary reasons for that is that the RDA activities align with our goals. We want to make sure that we build on the capability and capacity that there is within the RDA, and that we reinvigorate the activities that we did have that were successful in the RDA node. The real benefits there are that by just a small investment, which hopefully recognises, in the same way as we haven't used the term moral that our Dutch colleagues have, but recognises that the RDA has an important role, and the UK community helps influence but also benefits from that community. And so by contributing financially, we are supporting that broader RDA network, but it enables us to engage more effectively at both a strategic level and that operational level. So I think one of the things we find is it's really important to be able to translate RDA outputs within a local context, to be able to review feedback, but also really look at how to adopt some of those best practices practically within different environments. I think it's really interesting when you see, say, university libraries or research institute libraries and data curation facilities engaging with some of the outputs and their different perspectives. And so we really need to build that kind of practical linkage, I think, to make sure that we are benefiting from the RDA's expertise and shared endeavour. So it really is about RDA UK, about enhancing capacity and capability, and I suppose we see that the Research Data Alliance is really about that kind of crucial international sustainable human infrastructure that really is required for good practice and data sharing across borders that can strengthen research and innovation, economy and society. So those are really, I know that they sound quite high level, but they are very important, I think, both, as I say, a strategic sense and practical sense. So we are in early days, but what we are doing at the moment is we're working with, I mentioned, we've established the International Research Data Initiatives Forum in the UK. So we're working with colleagues there and also liaising with RDA to establish a regional engagement liaison capability and what shape and form that might take. We have started to identify priority areas for engagement locally and around possibly persistent identifiers, the International Data Commons work, data repository standards and certification, discovery and usage, research software, data access statement, training and skills. So quite a few. What we propose to do is engage the members of RDA within the UK, but also more broadly other stakeholders, undertake some level of consultation and survey to refine those priorities, to identify what activities we should focus on at the UK level and collaborate with the RDA on. And at European level, again, because it's early days, it's difficult to really say here, but it's good to be part of this discussion and consideration. I think possibly there should be ways to look at shared priority areas that we see at a European level and how they can be translated into more common best practices for cross-domain data sharing. I wonder whether there is some way in which we could share efforts to identify and address what I call thorny issues and help influence RDA activities, or draw from the sort of best practices across Europe. For us in particular at the moment, a couple of those thorny issues are cost-benefit analysis of data curation and sharing, and also looking at the best practice and cost of research data management and curation, and being able to understand how that works at a common and abstracted level that can then influence policy and decision making to, you know, build more robust support for research data curation and sharing going forward. So that's me. Thank you very much. And there is the team email address if anybody wishes to get in contact.
Thank you, Rachel. So Larry is reminding everybody that RDA, the legal headquarters of the RDA, are hosted at STFC, and that we are all very grateful. I'm sure she is grateful, and we are all very grateful for that. And you spoke for a minute about the national data infrastructures, your views about it. So I would like to tell everybody there is a bird of a feather session about national data infrastructures. There used to be an interest group which stopped working a few years ago, and there are a group of people are willing to see if there is an interest to start the interest group again. So if people who are participating here are interested in the subject, there is a both session tomorrow and another one next week at another time of the night for the Europeans. So thank you. I see that there is information. Yes, RDA is organizing an in-person meetup in The Hague in June. Yes. What we do in France is that we do a meeting, an annual meeting every year, which used to be in face-to-face, but has been remote for a while, and we hope to be back to real meeting people in reality one of these days. So what worries me a bit is that there is no contribution in the meeting notes. So everything was crystal clear, and you don't have any suggestions or comments? Everything was crystal clear, it seems to be, because there has been no question about any of the talks. But when you are a community member, do you have activities to suggest to your national nodes? Maybe it would help the national nodes to know better. So we have the last contribution. It's from Ireland. Beth, yes, and I will give you the floor in a minute. Thank you for showing up. Ireland, Beth, I saw you were attending. Do you want to say a few words while Ireland signed an MOU with the RDA? Thank you. Yes, I see you.
Yes, yeah, I'm happy to. I did put some notes in the chat, but I'm grateful to have this opportunity to sort of say that Ireland has also benefited from participation from this agreement, even though we're at kind of a lower tier. It's been, well, I'll back up a little bit. I'll say Ireland participated in RDA Europe 4.0, like the other presenters indicated. We had a node through that. And that was, I believe, a funded node. I wasn't working in Ireland at that point in time, but there was, you know, a little bit of incentive there to get that going. It fizzled out afterwards. It didn't have the support to kind of keep it going, or perhaps it didn't have the coordination that could have, that came from that funded project, RDA Europe. But DRI, the Digital Repository of Ireland, has been involved in a lot of European funded projects before and since then, in collaboration with the RDA. I noticed on Alex's slide that we're involved in all of the projects that she had logos for. So for us, it seemed like, given that it was the National Library in Ireland that was leading the node activity, given that he didn't have the capacity to continue to push that forward, we should share the benefit that we got from RDA. We're champions of the Research Data Alliance. We should be champions of the Research Data Alliance in Ireland as well. So we became a coordinating organization for what we're still calling the RDA in Ireland node, although I'm not really sure, maybe it's regional group now. We're also the coordinating organization, I should mention, for the National Open Research Forum, which published our National Action Plan for Open Research in 2022. So like some of the other speakers have said, becoming an advocate for RDA at the national level has relationships to other national level strategic goals and priorities. So we signed our MOU with RDA in 2023, early 2023, to restart activities, and really just to formalize the commitment to that DRI has to communicate the value of RDA to the Irish community. We planned 2 events, only one of which has actually succeeded in coming through. We did we did an online RDA for newcomers focused specifically on inviting Irish people to come and hear what the benefits are, based on organizations that had participated and individuals that had participated from within Ireland. So we tried to kind of kickstart activities by having a local event. And then we also tried to have a co-located event with this plenary, which very unfortunately, regretfully for some of you who I'm sure were really looking forward to it, we're not able to put forward this coming Friday, but look for us again in November. I suspect we'll probably be, it's just been postponed, it's not been canceled indefinitely. So benefits maybe to our organization, just to reiterate for DRI as well, is that we can better integrate RDA into our strategic plan. I think I mentioned that, but it makes it easier to talk about our goals in relation to international directions and to bring different stakeholders into conversation. So for instance, Ireland has had a particular focus on cultural heritage support and integration, and we've been able to kind of use RDA as a neutral space to bring those stakeholders together with other stakeholders in the research data community. It removes the conversation somewhat from our organizations. So it's not like we're leading it, we're facilitating it. We're allowing RDA to act as a kind of neutral ground to figure out what our directions are, which is really nice because Ireland is a small country and there's a lot of people who have many hats, who are all involved in conversations that are being led in different spaces that are kind of colored by the dynamics of those spaces. And when you kind of take a step back out and you say, well, this is RDA facilitating this conversation, it just gives you a place where people can think differently about what they're bringing to the table.
Yes, and it's true that what happens to push the national context towards RDA and to take advantage of the RDA for the national context is really what the nodes, the national nodes should do, and it can work very well. And we see that in France. If you attend the session I put in the notes about national data services, we work. The fact that we push the support staff to follow what is going on in RDA, to learn about how to support the community and the RDA products. It's part of a national strategy and it helps the community, and it's the way it should go. So I am checking the notes. Anne had a question or a comment?
Yes, thank you. I was just, I wrote a line on the notes on that. I think that I thought I knew a lot about what was going on between RDA and in different countries, and I'm learning actually a lot during that session. So my question is, what we do in this session, how could we increase these kind of exchanges between the nodes, or I am missing a lot of activities just because maybe I've not taken the time. But this exchange within Europe between nodes, I think we could well, increase that as compared to what we do in sessions or during RDA meetings, and I don't know what are the possibilities, proposals without organizing a specific meeting, which would be maybe complicated. So that's just my question: how to increase what we do in this session? Exchange because we learn.
Thank you very much. It's very good to hear that you learned things, because you know
Yes.
already a lot about RDA. I think this is a comment for Alex, of course. How can we organize exchanges between the nodes? And what you say is that it's not only between the nodes, but it's with the community participation.
Mm.
It's not only the nodes talking to each other.
No. Yes.
You know, we had exchanges between the nodes in RDA Europe 4.0 in the project which established the nodes, the European nodes. And when it's a catalog of the activities, it's not the best thing you can do. So we have to find how to organize that. So Alex, I think you have a line of thoughts here.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point, figuring out how to for us to speak to the individual communities, to get the communities to speak to each other, and get the communities collectively to speak to global in the overall organization. So
Yes, and Hilary supports what Anne just said. So I think we have to find a way to continue this kind of exchange. But really, I think about the nodes themselves because of RDA France talking to other regions. But this can be in part done during the regional assembly meetings of RDA at a global level. So finding a way to involve the continental community is probably a path forward to know what is going on. But you know, there has been sorry, go on. Anne.
Just can I add one thing? I have participated in some of the EC-funded projects for Europe. But of course, and this is always in any project, you are bound by the aim of the project, the deliverables to produce the work plan. So things are in a way closed because that's how it works with the projects. And what I feel during this session is that there is much more outside the projects to share than just, okay, we have said that we would exchange or do this within the project, for example, the ambassadors and all these things. But that is very well framed within a project. And my impression is now the nodes, a number of them at least, are mature enough to have a life outside the projects, the funded project by EC. And that's what would be rich to share. And this, I have no idea how this can be done.
Yes, the nodes are not at the same level of maturity now.
Sure.
So we have to find how to work all together. And so,
and if I can just add, Francois, quickly, this is where our mapping exercise comes in. So in early July, the European team will get together, we'll look at the legacy nodes, who is engaged, who isn't, the level of maturity, and we will create a plan. That will be, I know it sounds like a lot of work, and it probably will be, but we will tailor our plan to the individual needs and the maturity level. And we plan on talking to all of the legacy nodes and the currently engaged regions to figuring out this exactly how to do it.
yes, it will be really useful. And feel free to, if you want at some point to discuss this with people, I think you will find people to discuss in the nodes, and maybe also from the community. So we are, I was willing, and just alluded to that, but one of the products of the RDA Europe project has been the ambassadors. And now we see a group of people willing to create an ambassador and champions interest group in the RDA. And so we see how things which can begin at a continental level can then grow. And if they are interesting for the community, the global community, they can grow and pass towards the RDA level, RDA global level. So I think that it's good to start things more locally, either in the country or on the continental level, and then to see if there can be things which disseminate towards global or from Europe towards the countries. So we have to see how this fits, but the ambassadors is an excellent example of the power of this kind of activity. Well, I think we are approaching the end of this session. So yes, there is a session about the ambassador. Thanks, Matti. And it will be repeated. And if you are interested by the topic, you feel free to attend the session. They want comments about their draft charter. And so, are there any other comment or question? I think we will have other occasions to meet. At the European level. And so I'm very glad we had colleagues from other countries, from other continents, with us. And I hope that these discussions can be useful also in other regions of the world. Rachel, you were willing to say something?
All I was going to say was that it's been really beneficial for us to engage in this discussion, and I would really welcome being able to continue to liaise with obviously Alex and team, but also other nodes. I think, for example, in thinking about how we might work, we are able to learn from the experience of the Netherlands and how they were putting in place arrangements. So, I think you can also learn how to effectively work and create the sort of change in community that we need to from each other. And I think that's quite a practical thing that we can support and help each other do what we all want to do in different ways and better. So yeah, thank you for involving us today, and it was really good to be able to hear about the other activities.
So there are no other comments. I see. Thank you from Hilary to all speakers and attendees. So Anne?
Sorry, I don't want to prolong, but I was thinking that one of the things that could be done is something you actually do, Françoise, through the WOVA, Ici on parle français, the place.
Yes.
So there can be language-based communities or exchanges. And I'm thinking, for example, for the French, because, well, that's obviously my language, with collaboration with Canadian talking French, Switzerland, a number of other European countries, but also in Africa. And I don't know how much this can be worked out, but I think that in the multilingual spirit, that can be something we could develop in RDA.
Yes, I think, it depends a bit on the countries. People are more or less happy to speak in English or able to speak very easily in English. And so you can need more to have a bubble in which you can exchange together. But it's true that we like having Ici, on parle français. Here we speak French, so that people can present themselves in WOVA and can see who is here in our own language. So this can be done in any other language in WOVA, I guess. But the multilingual aspect of the RDA is quite, yes, I think there is a comment of, I think it's from Hilary, that multilingualism is really important. And so we have to see how to manage that. But
yeah, there are, for example, Spanish is talked in many countries. So
Sure.
I have talked French, well, about French because, well, that's I'm French, but it's not related just to Francophonie and the French language. It's true for several others. And I think it's important. If you look at the UNESCO recommendation on open science, this is one of the major pillars, the multilingualism.
Yes, and Hilary is putting a note reminding us that she is in Latin America and the Caribbean. And I was attending a meeting organized by La Referencia and LIBER, which is a European organization, I think, yesterday. And there was a translation in Spanish. English and Spanish were the two languages. But having translation during a meeting is really a complicated issue. Maggie, and I think after Maggie we will close the meeting. Go on, Maggie.
Yeah, sorry for keeping everyone from their lunch or whatever. Just two quick comments. So first of all, I really think that these language, say local language activities are extremely important, especially when it comes to bringing in people who are not really so familiar with research data management issues to start with, and then they would not know how to discuss that. Because they don't know the terminology in English and they also don't know the terminology in their own language. So to really break the ice and bring people in, I think that is very important. Then one other comment, which I think, which I recall from when I was working with the RDA Sweden project a couple of years ago. So I'm unfortunately not involved in any local Swedish RDA activities at the moment. But one thing that I do remember, a comment that came from someone there that I encountered on the meeting was that this person was saying that, yes, I would really like to engage with the RDA. And I found all these working groups and interest groups that I thought I could maybe contribute to. But then my employer said that, no, that's not part of your core activity. So if you want to do that, you have to do it all on your free time, which reduced the enthusiasm from the person that I talked to, unfortunately. So I was just wondering if you guys who have these national projects, national notes, etc., do you think that one can use that as a leverage, and the fact that your respective funders, etc., are really positive to the work that you're doing, to sort of try to turn this around now and change the attitudes of say, employers also in both academia and non-academia?
From the beginning, I think that joining the RDA, it's the best is when it's useful for your daily job. And so this is the kind of thing which are easier to negotiate with your employer. If what you do is part of your project and it will help you in your project, it will be easier. So I think the diversity of activities in RDA enables people to find things which are close to their job, daily work. And I also think that being part, as we are in France, of a national strategy helps, also because we support the strategy, so people are encouraged to participate in our activities, at least at the national level, because we are one line in the national plan for open science, and it helps in that case, I guess. But it's also because we manage our activities to support the open science objectives nationally and the open science objectives of the organizations in France. So you have to find a place which is a level which is win-win for everybody and for the organizations, basically. So I think that, yes, prestige is an incentive. I think we had no comment for a while, but the last comments were very useful and we could continue to discuss. But I think we will have to close. It's 59. I will not say of which hour because it depends where you are. So it's 59 and we are supposed to be on time. So I guess we will close the discussion. And I have the impression there are lots of hints that people would be interested to continue this kind of event and to see the kind of topics which emerge. So thanks to all, thanks to the speakers, thanks to the participants. And I think we can say, see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enjoy your plenary. Bye.
Bye.